Stephen, let's talk about Absa Capital and just start with the relationship with Barclays Capital, your strategy onto the African continent. Is there ever going to be a situation where we see Absa Capital changing to Barclays Capital because of brand recognition on the continent?
Bronwyn, I think for Africa, using Absa Capital has never really been the strategy. If you think about the Barclays countries, they're in 10 of the countries. We've got 2, even in Mozambique it's branded Barclays Bank Mozambique, even though it's Absa company. The Barclays brand, especially in most of those countries, has been in some of them for 100 years, some of them 50 years, but certainly a long time. So the Barclays brand in most of those countries is local already. To try and change that, I don't think will be a clever strategy. So for the moment, Absa Capital outside of South Africa will be using the Barclays Capital brand.
Looking at the territories that you're focusing on, are you seeing more traction in West or East Africa at the moment?
In Nigeria and Ghana, there's a lot of activity, and Kenya and Tanzania and Uganda, a lot of activity. I think they're both very good hubs. That whole East African Union is actually creating a lot of interest, and so in my view is actually boxing way above its weight at the moment in terms of an area of development and deals at the moment.
Are they vastly different in terms of regulation, in terms of red tape, when you look at East and West Africa, if you see them as consolidated groupings?
They do. They operate very differently. It depends, often who's in charge at the moment, who's in which ministry at the moment, and that changes. But the deal is very similar, very infrastructure driven, commodity driven, and so there's a lot of commonality which helps as well.
The biggest challenge, in your opinion, Stephen, to doing business on the continent in general?
It's really just about access, infrastructure, time to get there. Even if you're in country, they don't all have the blessing of road infrastructure like we've got. And sometimes getting there and getting back, seeing clients, getting back can take some time. So deals tend to be a little bit slower in actually happening as they do in this country.
You're 5 years old. Where to from here, specifically on your focus on the continent? Is it aggressive growth that you are going after?
Yeah, listen, I think what's interesting about the continent is if you have a look at the businesses in each of those countries, they're very similar to what the old ACMB was. Very focused on lending, very focused on sort of merchant banking, if you want to call it, whereas what we did with ACMB into Absa Capital was really to make it a full-service investment bank. Obviously not all the countries on the continent can have a full-service Absa Capital, but what's interesting about that is you've got the clients, you've got the flows, we just aren't offering them all the product, and that's all we did in Absa Capital. We took the excellence of Barclays Capital and offered the clients we had just more product. And that's the excitement about the continent. In both the Tanzanian business and in Mozambique, we've managed to increase revenue